We kick things off by welcoming in a very special guest, one that Stevie knows very well, as Liverpool legend Ian Rush joins us. Ian will be talking, I promise, about Liverpool and their tour and looking ahead to the new season later on. But there's only one place that I can start with you, and that's when you think of Steve Nicol, what comes to mind?
Oh, I don't think you can hear that, is what I was going to say, so you'd have to be very careful there. But he was a great player, you know. It was in the 80s where it wasn't an easy dressing room to get by. You have a sink or you swim, and now I had it first. I had the Mickey taken out of me, so I was really made up when we signed Nicol.
Because he took all the bullets for you, that's why.
I took the pressure right off Josh, right off him.
Ian, was his diet similar to everybody else's, the pints of Coke and the crisps?
No, Nicol was a one-off, put it that way. You know, he was the only one that can do that and still play as good as anyone on the pitch. I don't think anyone else who ate the crisps or the pints of Coke, I don't think anyone else could play like Nicol, but that's what made him a one-off.
You often tell quite a few stories about Rushy, Steve.
Aye.
Do you want to tell the Juventus one?
Oh. Well, we'll go.
Or should we get you... Ian, do you want to tell the story? Do you know what story he means?
Well, this is one with, like playing in a foreign country.
The one when you arrived.
You arrived, you got off the plane.
Oh, yes. Yes, that was the time where I was going to Juventus and Peter Robson was the secretary then. And he says, listen, it's a secret mission. No one's going to be there. So we get on the plane and we had a couple of drinks on the plane. So we get off the plane and there's about 20,000 Juventus supporters cheering me back. and he said, what have you got to say? And I just said, welcome.
Brilliant.
Oh, mate, that's brilliant. Mate, when Stevie talks about those times in the 80s, obviously, like the best time of your lives, you look forward to going to training, you had this real strong bond. It must have been special to be involved with all that.
Yeah, it was the secret to Liverpool in the 80s was the team spirit. You know, it was everyone was together. Off the pitch, we weren't like great mates, but on the pitch and in the dressing room, we're absolutely fantastic, and that's what made us really. It was the team spirit, and that is something which I felt recently when Jurgen Klopp was in charge. He must have brought across the update team spirit that we had in the 80s, and that's why Liverpool was successful under Jurgen Klopp. And I think it's not just the 11 that are playing; it's keeping the players who are not playing happy, and that's what we had. That's what we had in the 80s.
It's something that was all organic as well for you guys, wasn't it, Steve? Yeah,
no, there was nothing contrived or it just all sort of happened naturally. And I think at the end of the day, you got to look at the recruitment, because again, back then it wasn't just, you know, you bring in the best players. There was certain types of characters that you needed as well. You know, good people.
Yeah.
And we had plenty of them. Plenty of good people, but even more characters. I mean, just all different kinds. I mean, Tosh is saying that I took the pressure off him. I mean, Tosh was quite quiet initially.
Right.
But of course, he ended up being a hurricane and you couldn't shut him up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was about characters. Something that you look at teams today and you really think, yeah, they've got good players. Yeah, they seem to get along. But where are the characters? There doesn't seem to be any. We had more than a fair share.
Ian, we're seeing now that obviously the European Cup final where Stevie missed the opening penalty. What were your thoughts when you saw the youngster going down to take a pen in the final?
Oh, well, it took the pressure off me anyway. But
it's a bit of a recurring theme there, taking the pressure off Tosh.
I'll tell you what happened there, because at the penalties, Graham Souness was in charge then. And he goes, I think Stevie was going to take the first one, Neely was going to take the second one, I think I was going to take the third one, and Alan Kennedy kept having to take a penalty, and Sue said, you're not taking one. Then I think Stevie told Nicol he's going to take one. He said, you'll be fourth or fifth. And as we're talking, all we're seeing is Nicol just walking up to take the first penalty. And then Sue said, where's he going? And in the end, it was too late to bring him back. So in a way, you thought when he did miss it, you think like, well, we're not going to win this anyway. So in my opinion, it did make it easier for us as well.
Is that true, Stevie?
I can see that. Yeah, obviously, that's not what
You weren't listening, were you? You weren't listening.
You just said penalty and went off to take it.
Aye. Well, because we had practiced penalties before we had left Liverpool to go.
Right.
Because we didn't want to.
Not hard enough, obviously.
We didn't want to do it when we got there because we knew somebody would be watching, and I was the only one that scored. Rushy missed, Souness missed, Kennedy missed, everybody missed except me. And so when all I heard was you're taking a penalty, so I just automatically thought I'm going first.
Right, so
because I had gone first when we practiced it.
That's brilliant.
So I just picked it up and started walking. That was it.
Robbo, of course, you competed against this side. You watched this side a lot. Stevie and Rushy, of course, key figures within this team.
Well, we were frightened of them. That's the key thing. You'd go to Anfield and you were worried about playing against them. You know, you never thought you were going to go there and get a result. And even when I was playing for Arsenal at the time, we played Liverpool at home. We were passed off the field on 2 or 3 occasions, usually at the start of the season when it was boiling hot. And we just never played well against Liverpool. They were a top-class side, brilliant side.
Ian, what's interesting when you speak to Stevie about what happened after Liverpool, there was almost a surprise that every other club didn't have that sort of bond, that kind of team spirit. Did you feel that as well?
Yes, 100%. I think what we had at Liverpool, you'll never get that back. You try to bring it on to the club, but the characters were not there. And as Nicol said, it's not just on the pitch. Liverpool look what you're like off the pitch as well. And I think you could be the best player in the world, but if you weren't behaving yourself or you weren't working as a team off the pitch, they wouldn't sign you. For a prime example, like when I went to Italy, Italy, it's like individual. It's like the Maradona, Napoli, the rush of Juventus, and that's where. And that's what it was. But in Liverpool, it was a team. If I went to Liverpool, the dressing room said, "Oh, I'm Ian Rush. I'm the best player here," and the other said, "Okay, let's see how good you are by yourself." And that's how it worked there, and that's why the team spirit that we had, that'll never be beaten at Liverpool in the 80s.
There's not a day go by, Ian, that Stevie doesn't mention Ronnie Moran in one context or another. Does he live rent-free in your head as well?
Oh, he was unbelievable, by the way, yeah. I just imagine Ronnie in today's world. he'd have no chance. The players would have no chance of him. But Ronnie Ran done what was best for the club. If Ronnie Ran stopped shouting at you and everything, that meant your time was up because there's no more we can get from you. He was basically Mr. Liverpool.
Yeah, very much part of it. And now, of course, we're fast-forwarding. Now you're in Pittsburgh, part of the Liverpool tour. And it's a huge transition now. Jurgen Klopp leaving, Arne Slot coming in. It's a big task for Slot, isn't it?
Yes, it's a big task. To replace Jurgen's always going to be difficult. But I'm happy now. I'm glad he didn't leave last year, because last year I would worry me a bit. But Jurgen's had another year now, and he's got some good players here. He's made another transmission in the new team. We've got a lot of young players, and we've got a decent team now. So I'm actually looking forward to it.
How do you handle it, Robbo, if you're Slot?
It's going to be difficult for him because Jurgen Klopp was a legend at the club. He had great success. The fans loved him. I presume the players loved him as well. We've seen when Ferguson left Manchester United. We saw when Wenger left Arsenal. It's difficult for the person replacing them. Arteta's now come 2 managers on. It's going to be difficult for Slot to win over the players, the senior players, and it's going to be difficult for him to win over the crowd straight away. And it's going to be interesting to see what sort of style of football he plays.
Let's talk strikers, shall we, Ian? Obviously, Darwin Núñez cost a lot of money for Liverpool. Hit and miss, I think, is a fair way to describe his first 2 seasons. What do you like about him? What would you advise him to do to improve? Well,
the first thing about him, he's creating chances, isn't he? He's a big lad. He always gets beyond defenders. And I think if he gets that confidence, I think he can be one hell of a player.
Big boy time, isn't it, for Núñez now, Stevie?
Yeah. I mean, I was particularly last year saying, look, you still need to give him a little bit of time. But I think you're right. I think this year is going to define whether he kicks on and becomes an Anfield legend or whether he doesn't, and it's time to move somewhere else. I would think that's how important this season is for him.
Which side of the fence, Sean, Robert?
I think he's a player, and it's just been said there by Ian. He's in positions to score goals. He's got pace, he's got strength, he's got good technique. Goals will come. I know it's been a couple of years where he's missed chances, but if you keep getting into those situations, eventually you're going to get that confidence. You're going to score a couple of goals, and it's then going to carry on from there. I think he's an outstanding player.
Meanwhile, it's weird for Gakpo, isn't it? Because we've seen players struggle when it comes to making that step up to international football. But there's something about the Dutch shirt where he puts in the performances that we haven't seen so far, really, since he made that move to Liverpool.
I think when he plays for Holland, he plays on the left-hand side, doesn't he? I think when he's at Liverpool, he's played on the right, he's played in the middle, he's played in midfield, he's played on the left. So maybe playing for Liverpool under Klopp, he most probably doesn't know what his best position is, but every time he plays for Holland, he seems to play on the left. He thrives in that position as well, and he did have an excellent Euros.
We saw an interesting season from Mo Salah as well last year, in that his figures look good. They look great, don't they, overall, in the fact that he was once again in the goals, in the assists, but there were times that you wanted more from him. Do you feel that maybe he's on the decline now, and do you feel that maybe Liverpool should look to maybe cashing in and using that money to refresh the squad?
For me, I'd like to see Mo Salah stay. Simple as that. He's an asset to the team. He may not score as many goals as what he's done in the last couple of years, but look at his assists. He most certainly make more assists now than does score goals.
They're offered 100 million for Salah tomorrow. Surely you've got to take the money. You've got to look after the future of the club, don't you?
Well, I think that comes down to the manager, doesn't it? He makes the decisions, and that's what the manager gets paid for. I'I think he'll be looking at this pre-season, which is very important, as you know, and he's thinking, what do we do? I think the same can be said with Van Dijk and Trent. They're in the final year of the contract, the three of them. So I think it's going to be an interesting season. And again, being a Liverpool fan, I'd love to see the three of them stay.
Political answer from Ian Rush. Unlike you, Steve Nicol. Not Liverpool legends Ian Rush says sell Salah.
Season campaigner.
There you are, you see.
Season campaigner on the other end of the camera.
Political masterclass there. Ian, we've talked about it a lot, these goggles that the goalkeepers have been wearing. Have you tried them at all?
No, I didn't try them, but I think Nicol was wearing them in the 80s, wasn't
he? He's very angry about the goggles, Ian. He hates them.
What's a lot of nonsense.
Well, he mentioned something to me, but I didn't see it, so I don't really, I can't comment on that. So I'll rely on what Nicol said for once.
It's brilliant. Throwing coaches and goggles. They're the things that make him very angry, Ian.
Aye.
Is that the future, is it?
yeah, it's definitely is. That's why he's not happy about it. Right then, Ian, what's a good season for Liverpool, considering the upheaval, considering Arne Slot coming in? What would you take now as a Liverpool fan?
Well, I would take Champions League again. We've made it now, so I think what you're looking to try and improve on last season. And I think with a new manager, change your play maybe or something like that. But I think you always look to do better than what you did last year. We won the Carabao Cup last year, and we finished second in the league. So I think looking at Champions League and looking at a trophy again to keep everyone going, and the fans are right behind the Slot. Believe me, the fans are right behind him, and he'll get his fair chance now, and hopefully we can go onwards and upwards.
These days, Ian, who would be more valuable, Ian Rush or Steve Nicol?
Well, on or off the pitch?
Well, we know the answer off the pitch, Mr. Nicol.
I'll tell you what, it was close. Him and I were always last out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, him and I were always last out.
What do you mean by last out?
Turn the lights off and close the door.
Yes, yeah. Ian, he had to ring his wife last week to come and pick him up from Craig Burley's house at 2 in. She had to wake the grandkids up. You'll be glad that nothing ever changes.
It's a bit early, Nicol, for 2 o'clock, wasn't it, for you?
Yeah, getting on.
It's getting old.
I'm getting old.
It's getting old. Ian, great stuff, mate. Thank you very much for joining us. Much appreciated. We need an X-rated version at some stage of some Stevie stories when the kids are in bed. Much appreciated, mate. Just a reminder, Liverpool in action here in the summer. Real Betis is our game, which you're doing, Robert?
I'm doing the game, yes. Looking forward to it.
And where is that?
That's in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, lovely.
Yes.
Exactly, that's live on ESPN Plus, and then it's Arsenal at the end of the month on ESPN, and Liverpool to take on Real Betis. If you want a C ticket, if you want to go see Robbo, will you say hello to people, Robbo?
Of course I will.
You take a selfie. Yes.
Maybe not some of the Arsenal supporters when we go to the next stage.
Oh yeah, the Arsenal. So the Liverpool supporters, all right.
Yeah.
Just click the QR code. Tickets are still available.